How much of our leadership pipeline are we losing because of life and care responsibilities? Maybe you've spent years developing your leadership pipeline, mapping competencies, mentoring high potential talent, preparing your next generation of leaders. But here's a question that no one ever asks. How many of those leaders have quietly opted out? Not because they weren't ready or they didn't have the ambition, but because life responsibilities suddenly got heavier. No formal resignation, no exit interview, just a stretch opportunity they declined, a promotion they passed over, a transfer they avoided. It could be caregiving, it could be chronic illness, it could be disability. And these are not just fringe experiences, they're part of modern reality. And they can be quietly draining your future bench strength. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Anna Thomas. I'm a physician, leadership speaker, caregiver advocate, and corporate wellness specialist. I help organizations strengthen their workforce and create workplaces where people and performance can thrive together. Even as we enter an era of AI, automation, and agentic teams, the future of work is still human, and that work is changing dramatically. But at the same time, employees are navigating complex personal and professional pressures that are only going to escalate in the coming years. For example, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, we will see an exponential increase in the number of older adults who will need caregiving support. Who will be providing that care? Working adults. Right now, 63 million Americans are caregivers. That's 1 in 4 adults, with more than half of them currently working full-time. Those numbers are expected to increase and will have a tremendous impact on our communities and, yes, even our workplaces. And caregiving is just one example of a personal stressor that will impact the workplace. Mental health, chronic illness, stress, and burnout are all on the rise, and the organizations that will thrive are those that lead with care, culture, awareness, resources, and empowerment. Care. Through this series, I share practical strategies, leadership tools, and insights to help you create cultures that support well-being, strengthen engagement, and retain top talent. If you'd like a clear starting point, then check out my free training, The Future of Work is Care. The link is below. And while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with another leader who is ready to build a workplace that cares. Let's get into today's topic. Let's talk about that hidden leadership leak. This isn't just a wellness issue. It is a succession issue, a growth issue, a competitiveness issue for your organization. Unless you name it, you can't fix it. See, most leadership development models follow a predictable path. A high performer is given a stretch role, they have more visibility, and then they're advanced. But caregiving, health, and disability can interrupt that path at any moment. A promising leader can decline a major project because their father just entered hospice care. Maybe you have a manager who reduces travel because they're managing a chronic illness for themselves. Maybe you have a team lead who's caring for a disabled child at home. They pull back from extra hours, and then they get labeled as less ambitious. And because these realities are invisible, they're misread as a lack of drive or an inconsistency. And the result? You have a system that doesn't flex, that doesn't support, and that person quietly steps away. Let's talk about why you're not seeing it in the data. Truth is, you're probably not tracking caregiving or chronic health factors when you think about leadership metrics. And even when you try, sometimes it's hard to see that because people don't disclose it. They fear stigma, stalled careers, or being seen as less committed. Exit interviews don't always capture it. Employees may say stress or balance instead of specifics about their caregiving or their health-related needs. Sometimes pipeline attrition looks normal. A few drop-offs each quarter. It doesn't trigger alarms, but zoom out. Are you seeing a pattern? Watch for those early indicators. Maybe you have high potential employees who are saying, not right now, to leadership tracks, and then they never come back. Quiet withdrawals from mentorship or development programs. Maybe you see a disproportionate attrition among mid-career women or employees coming from cultures that have a heavy caregiving responsibility and involvement. Maybe you're seeing feedback that includes, they're great, but maybe it's not the right time right now. If any of that is sounding familiar, maybe your pipeline is silently leaking. So let's talk about how to build a leadership path that can flex. First of all, create some pause points. Build options for people to temporarily step back without falling off the path entirely. They're still on a leadership track, and they can come back to it, even though they're just pausing it for a moment. Train your managers to separate performance from availability, because flexibility, the need for it, the use for flexible options, isn't a lack of ambition. Teach your leaders to assess results, not face time, and design flexible roles, maybe co-leadership models, or adapt the workload to keep your future leaders engaged through life's peaks and valleys. Think longitudinally, not just on an annual basis, but multi-year growth patterns. How many are stepping off course and why? And in your organization, normalize these life responsibilities in your career planning. The goal is not to exclude, it's to strategize retention. Let's talk about the human and business costs of doing nothing. People who are most likely to step back aren't always your most disengaged employees. They can be your highest performers. These are the ones that are loyal, they're conscientious, they're holding things together at home and work until something gives. And when they leave, you lose more than just headcount. You're losing institutional knowledge. You're losing trust. You're losing a leadership culture that you were trying to build. And when you support them in the right ways, it's not about lowering standards. It's about building systems that keep the brilliant people in the game. And if you're ready to look at your company and integrate this into your leadership strategy, then start with my free training, The Future of Work is Care. It will walk you through the care framework, your roadmap. And for a deeper dive, check out my book, Workplaces That Care. It's available now on Amazon. It is your playbook for building resilient, human-centered organizations. And before you go, what if your next great leader isn't gone, but they're looking for permission to stay? Stop confusing silence for a lack of ambition. Let's stop letting life's responsibilities erase their potential, because the future of leadership isn't about who's available right now. It's about who's capable and how we choose to support them so that in the long run, they're able to lead with strength and with confidence. In our next video, we're going to talk about, are we checking a box on benefits or are we truly supporting our people? We'll explore how to turn written policies into a lived culture. While you're waiting, check out, could unconscious bias be hurting employees? That episode breaks down how subtle patterns can derail advancement. Remember, in this age of AI, the future of work is still human. So let's create workplaces that care together.